started, everybody. I know you're busy and got lots going on, so we're gonna get right to it. I want to say welcome and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us for today's webinar. Today, we're going to be sharing an opportunity with you that we've been actually working on for the past few months, and something we're super excited about. Hang on, let me turn my speaker off. I'm not paying attention here. It's really an opportunity to be part of a process that we think could help make 2021 a really tremendous year of growth for all of you, and really to help you build a powerful sense of personal momentum for your life. I know most of you know me personally, whether it's just through friendship or taking one of my courses. Some of you have been involved with a number of my lunch and learns. It's great. It's great to see you all again. What a great group we have on the call. You may not know the real reason for my success here today, and that's the other person that's going to be hosting today's call. It's my good friend and colleague, Paul McCosco. Some of you know him. Paul's been with me now for about 4 years. Is that right, Paulie?
Yes, sir.
Years ago, we before the whole coaching run, we served together on a church staff, and I'll be honest, the first time I interviewed Paul, and we got into this conversation around hobbies, and he mentioned the fact that he liked to knit socks. I'm going to be really honest, that was almost a showstopper for me in that first interview, but I made it past that point, and that's actually a true story, as I recall. Do you recall, Paul?
Yeah, no, but however you recall it is fine. I was dared to learn to knit, and it was the time that I had started working at the church, and I remember that story just got all mangled up somehow, and all of a sudden I knit socks. So.
Anyhow, I'm glad I made it past that part. If you love to knit socks, I hope I didn't just offend you, but Paul is one of the most incredible human beings I know on this planet, and that's not an ounce of an exaggeration. I am beyond fortunate to have him in my business, to call him my friend. And I affectionately refer to him as the Wizard of Oz. He is the magic behind the scenes. He's the main reason, actually, that we're even able to offer this course that's going to start here in a couple of weeks. And the thing I love about Paul is he's constantly living this principle of personal growth that we're going to be talking about today. Over the past couple of years, he's had an increasing desire to really kind of expand his skill set inside of the business. And he wants to come out from behind the curtain and get more involved in the coaching and facilitation process. And this past fall, he went through his coaching certification through the John Maxwell team and has really been honing his skills. And I'm just beyond excited that he's going to be bringing his gifts to the world in a bigger way. He's also going to be partnering with me in hosting today's webinar. So I want you to welcome him. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and actually turn it over to Paul at this point. Paul, go ahead, man.
Awesome, Bill. Thanks for that fantastic introduction. It is truly an honor and a privilege to work with you. I give you much honor for me being here today too. So thank you for that. For those of you guys who don't know me, I am a certified coach and trainer and speaker with the John Maxwell team, like Bill is. We've been working together for about 4 years now, and I've been in the coaching sphere really for about 15 years, working in higher ed, in nonprofits. Most recently served as a pastor and ministry head, focusing on developing teams and leaders. And I do all this because people are a passion of mine. Right now, my wife, Carolyn, and I, we're even raising 2 little people, which is by far the hardest job I've ever had. And I'm hoping to help them discover their passions and dreams one day and just leave a legacy. And then we're going to be talking a little bit more about that later on. But first, I want to encourage you that you have taken a big step today just by showing up. And it's so exciting to see so many people on this call, because today you took a big step forward in your growth. And starting is such a big deal. John Maxwell says this. He says, if you start today to do the right thing, you already are a success, even if it doesn't show it yet. And how important is it just to start something? So maybe your step one was just showing up today. I want to encourage you in that. You've taken a big step. Thank you for doing that. So most likely you're here today because you're looking to grow, maybe to become more successful, or maybe simply to have a better year than last year. That leads me to wonder, who wants to have a better year than last year? If you guys have your comment or your chat bar open, I'd love to see a thumbs up in the chat bar. We can communicate that way too, all throughout the presentation today. So open it up. Let's have some fun. Anybody want to have a better year than last year? Absolutely. I think we all want to have a better year than last year. I don't know what year 2020 looked like. Maybe it threw you a bunch of curveballs. Maybe you've had to pivot and shift in your job or in your home life, maybe even in the business that you own. I remember just beside myself figuring out how we were going to homeschool our kids and work and learn a whole new way of life through social distancing. It was definitely an interesting year. But let's pair that up with this thought. Success is where preparation meets opportunity. And I want all of us to be prepared for what this next year may hold so we could find success no matter what. I totally believe this is possible. And I believe that we can have a better 2021. I love seeing all the yeses and yeps in the chat bar right now. I want to make you guys a few promises today that can help point you in the direction of greater success for next year. Bill and I, we promise this for you this year. First, we want to teach you the power of a mastermind to help you grow. Next, we want to show you how to make this year better than last year with a plan for growth. And third thing is we're going to give you the opportunity to jump into a growth or a group that will help accelerate your growth. That's going to be kind of our roadmap for today. And at the end, let us know if we've delivered on these promises. And it's our hope that step by step, we'll talk all through this. So before we dive into the real meat of today, I want to ask you, what matters most to you? Is it your family? Is it your career? Is it your faith? Is it a significant relationship? We put up a couple pictures of our families today to illustrate how when we grow, it impacts those who matter most to us. In other words, when you get better, you're working on the legacy that you're building and one day will leave. In other words, your growth today is growing the positive legacy that you are leaving for tomorrow. Those around you depend on you getting better. I want to be part of something that changes people's lives, and I want to model to my family and those I lead with and work with at the church, even in my friendships. I want to model how unique and valuable people are. And I want to help bring the best out of those people around me. And I want my family to see it. I want it to sharpen everybody around me. So who are you building your legacy for? Let me know. Put it in the comment section. Who or what is depending on your growth? Is it your family? Is it your business? Maybe it's your significant other. Maybe it's this dream inside of you that just won't go away. I love it. My son and husband, my family and staff, my family, absolutely. And the second question I want to ask you, are you happy with the legacy that you're building? Is there room for growth? Are you leading your legacy, or are you leaving it to chance through the circumstances that happen to come your way throughout life? I want to turn it over to Bill now, because I know I've never met a person in my life more passionate than he is about building a legacy. And I want you to hear his heart on the legacy that we can all build. Billy, what's up?
Thanks, buddy. You know, we've had over the past several years, we've had the privilege of working with some 2,000 leaders. And it's been an incredible community of growth-minded people. Many of you are part of that tribe. And over that time, we've discovered what some of the vital factors are for growth and lasting transformation, you know, how people grow really. And when you think about it and you boil it down, it really kind of comes down to you need a plan. You need accountability. And then third, you need a community of like-minded people surrounding you and supporting you in the process. This past year for me, you know, I looked at it as I was sad on some levels to see how many people's lives were so adversely affected by the pandemic. And then on the other hand, I looked at it as another incredible opportunity to pivot and grow.
Mhm.
Life always kind of puts things at us that way. We have a decision to make when life brings challenging things our way. And for myself, I looked at it as an opportunity to really pivot more my business kind of in the virtual world. And as a part of that process, I did a series of discovery calls in preparation for launching some virtual courses with about 20 to 30 people. Asked them a couple questions, and one was, "Hey, what are you challenged by right now?" And the second question was, and these are all people who had taken some of my courses in the past. I said, "What was it about the course that really um, that was most valuable, most powerful for you?" And you know what they didn't say? It was you, Bill. They didn't say that I was the reason they got so much value from the course. What they did say was it was the community. It was unbelievable. That thread came through in every conversation I had. You know, Bill, it was the people in the group that I was a part of. It was the connections that I formed. It was the support that I received. It was the interaction and the ability to be able to process my journey and learn from the experiences and perspectives of others. And that was so, it was such a great reminder to me. And really, what they were talking about was the power of a mastermind. And if you look at history, you can see the most successful people in the world have tapped into this powerful environment. I don't know how many of you have ever heard of the concept of a mastermind. What, just type in the chat, what comes to your mind when you think of a mastermind? What's the first thing you think about? It's not a term that is necessarily familiar to a lot of people. People who are smarter than me who will teach me. I love that. Seth, that's fantastic. Experience, yeah, absolutely. Yes, Demir, you're stealing my thunder, baby. Think and grow rich. Let's talk about that a little bit. Really, the history kind of goes back to a guy by the name of Andrew Carnegie. That name may ring a bell. When people think about Carnegie, they kind of often think of the guy who was kind of the face of the Industrial Revolution, the steel magnate from Pittsburgh. What a lot of people don't know about Andrew Carnegie is he had this ability to see potential in other people and bring it out of them. It's said that Carnegie was able to kind of create 100 leaders around him who became millionaires in their lifetime, which at that point in history is no small thing. But one of the proteges of Andrew Carnegie, one of the people he saw potential in, was a guy by the name of Napoleon Hill. And Napoleon was a young man who worked on Carnegie's estate. And Carnegie looked at him and he said, "Napoleon, if you'll figure out what it is that makes successful people successful, I'm going to introduce you to some of the most successful people in the world." Well, that led to a 25-year journey for Napoleon Hill that ultimately culminated in the book that Demir referenced, a book that's a classic book for leaders and people that are success-minded and growth-oriented. It's called Think and Grow Rich. It was written in the 1940s and still is a very powerful resource for a lot of people today. And in that, Napoleon Hill outlined 13 success principles that he found that all successful people shared. And one of those principles was what Hill talked about, was the power of the mastermind. He defines a mastermind as the coordination of knowledge and effort of two or more people who work together toward a definite purpose in the spirit of harmony. And for me, as I think about that definition and I think about the work that I have done, I see the truth of that over and over and over again. So I want to talk about, just real briefly, when you think about the power of a mastermind, when you have these environments, I've seen this in groups, I've seen this at conferences, I've seen this in lunch and learns, I've seen this in one-on-one coaching environments where you have like-minded people who are there for a common purpose, who want to grow, who want to become more, who want to learn, who are willing to do whatever it takes to kind of get to that next level in their life. I'm sure you've sensed this along with me. There is a powerful energy. There's a chemistry that Hill talks about that you're able to, even when you have that unique environment, you're able to tap into a higher form, what Hill referred to as a third brain, a higher form of intelligence that you get to connect to and draw from based on people's experiences, their knowledge, their ideas. Just all these things kind of come together in a really powerful force. And if you look at the screen, you can see some of these benefits here, the opportunity to tap into a larger network of growing people, the ability to cultivate, to kind of build on that and cultivate new friendships off that I've seen they last for a lifetime. You get to have a trusted circle of colleagues to help you make decisions, a chance to learn from other leaders and successful people when you draw from their experience in kind of a different sector of business or a different vein of life, these different perspectives. In addition to that, you have this confidential space to discuss challenges and problems. And then as you begin to take action on your life and apply these principles that you learn from these environments, it becomes a laboratory for your own learning and growth. And then a powerful environment of support and accountability. And as I think about these, and I think about this past year, one of the things that I think has, and I think you probably can see this in your own experience as well, one of the things that has affected people the most adversely throughout this whole process has been people becoming isolated from one another, people becoming disconnected from one another. And as people, we are communal creatures. We're created for connection. And when you can create environments that are unique in the sense that the people in those environments are there for a common reason and a common purpose and are there to support one another in their journeys of growth, it literally becomes a powerful source of transformation in one's life. And I guarantee everybody on this call today, including myself, there's some area that you can look at in your life and you say to yourself, I want to change in this area. I want to grow in this area. I want to get better in this area. And for me, these are the perfect environments for those changes to occur. Paul?
Yeah, absolutely, Bill. I want to piggyback on something that you said. We love feedback. And after every event that we do, after every mastermind, after every course we do, we take surveys. We love to learn about, what people found valuable about what we were able to bring and provide. And so I wanted to highlight a couple of things that we found that were specific to this kind of environment, the mastermind environment. And you can read the whole thing off to the right, but I'll highlight the good parts, the parts that are super pertinent to us today. It says, I highly enjoyed this course and getting to learn the perspectives of my coworkers. This person found so much value, not just from the material, but from learning with the people that they got to learn with. It was an excellent class that made you think outside of yourself and take another look at how you currently work in situations. Sometimes people act as a mirror that we can't see. They can see things that we can't and can speak into those things in ways that we can't. And this person found that valuable to have that environment where people could speak into their life. Next, the group of people that I had the pleasure of sharing this experience with were such incredible contributors and so inspiring. I thought that was fantastic. Not only were they valuable personally, but they contributed to her job and they inspired her. They would often reach out to me with positive feedback. And this next one, this is my favorite because it's just for Bill. Bill, it was awesome to be able to go through this course with you and the other students. This will be a powerful memory that will last forever. Great job, and looking forward to other courses as well. And, obviously that's just a small sample of the tons of feedback that we got. But as Bill said earlier, over and over again, it's the group, it's the connection, it's the magic that happens around the table that people often find the most valuable. And that is part of the power of a mastermind. So now that we've kind of talked about how a mastermind can help you grow, and we've completed promise number one, let's go on to promise number two. In order to grow, we have to have a plan. We want to show you how to make this year better than the last with a plan for growth. It starts with a plan. Has anyone made a plan to grow yet in 2021? Anybody? Anybody even made a New Year's resolution? Yes, Seth has. He's in it. Anybody made a New Year's resolution and have kept it? Give me a thumbs up if your resolution is still going strong. Like, we're into February now. This is like big time if you can keep that going. No one's brave enough. I don't see any thumbs ups. So I don't know if that speaks volumes or not. But what we do know is that all growth starts with a plan, and your plan to grow doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be effective. And we found an incredible growth plan from literally the man who wrote the book on leadership, or maybe 80 of them. Many of them have even become bestsellers. John Maxwell's 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth is the plan. That's what we're going to be talking about throughout this mastermind. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Bill.
Yeah, so that's where I'm super fired up about this course, is it through the process, through the study guides that we're going to provide, through the principles from John's book, and through a literal growth playbook that we've created that you're going to develop throughout the course. You're going to end up at the conclusion of this 8-week process. I think a powerful game plan, or kind of playbook to be able to step into and realize the things that you've defined as most important to you for your own life. I love this book, The 15 Invaluable Laws. I've taken hundreds of people through this text, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with John Maxwell and his work. He's widely recognized as kind of the top leadership expert in the world globally by a lot of people. But honestly, for myself, I think of John, someone more as who I know of for personal growth. You look at a guy who's written more than 90 books over 4 decades, a guy who's number 6 all time on the Amazon bestsellers list. It's like anymore when he breathes, books come out. And that's really just kind of a reflection of the man's daily investment in himself. Like, he's 70 some years old. And when I listened to John teach in this past year's conference that we hosted, I feel like he's still ascending. And that alone truly inspires me. And when I think of all the books that John has written, for me, a top 3 is the 15 Invaluable Laws. I absolutely love this book. And when we look into this book, as we're going to do through this course, we're going to find there are these principles that he refers to as laws. They are things that you can stand on. And when you apply them to your life, they work. Your life works. And these are the kind of principles that have to be operational and in play in each and every one of our lives if we're going to experience that sustained growth and transformation that we want to see over a long period of time. So I'm just going to run through these 15 laws. If you haven't read the book, just a really quick overview of these 15. Law number 1, the law of intentionality, where John talks about the fact that growth doesn't just happen. We don't set New Year's resolutions and then just automatically, magically have them come true. That's why most people don't fulfill New Year's resolutions, because there isn't a plan and an intentionality behind making it happen. We must make it a consistent priority. The law of awareness, one of my absolute favorites. You must know yourself to grow yourself. I'm going to tell you right now, this is the number 1 quality I look for in leaders who I think have tremendous potential, or anybody who wants to grow. The desire to expand your self-awareness, to understand more about yourself. What makes you tick? Your strengths, your weaknesses, your drives, your dreams, your desires, your limiting beliefs. Becoming more aware of these things is critical to growth. One of my favorite quotes by Carl Jung is when he says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. How many people do you know who are just kind of sleepwalking through life? Psychologists estimate that people can live up to 75% of their life out of their unconscious mind, literally going through the motion, sleepwalking through life, and not realizing all the while that they are the cause of all their effects. So this law of awareness is enormously significant. The law of the mirror, which is my absolute favorite, it's the one that I think I resonate the most with, because it's been my biggest struggle in life. This is, it's really all about the fact that you must see value in yourself to add value to yourself. I'm going to tell you right now, this is by far and away the number one issue I coach around with leaders all the time. People's sense of self-worth, people's sense of self-esteem. Zig Ziglar says, it's impossible to consistently behave in a manner with how we see ourselves. We can do very few things in a positive way if we feel negatively about ourselves. This is a huge principle that this law alone is a game changer for many, many people. Moving along. The law of reflection. So one of the great things about a mastermind that we really build into the framework of the experience is the opportunity for people to regularly set aside time where they can reflect, where they can think into their lives, where they can evaluate where they're growing as they take action on their life, how that process is working, what is standing in their way. Reflection is such an important part of growth. Law 5, the law of consistency. Man, can I get a witness? Am I the only one who struggles with being consistent in life? Motivation gets you going. We know that motivation is a huge part of personal growth, but it's just one element. Learning how to be consistent with these action steps that we determine are important for our growth, developing and cultivating that discipline is huge. The law of environment. Oh man, I love this law. We are living organisms as people, and just like plants, if a plant is going to grow, it's got to be put in the right environment, which is why I don't have any plants in my office, because they would be dead. But just like plants as people, we need to put ourselves in optimal growth environments. We're going to look at that. Your physical environment, your mental environment, your people environment, your technological environment. How are the various environments of your life doing? How are they affecting your growth? Law 7, law of design. This is all about developing strategies, and we have the coolest tool that I'm excited to unveil in this process we've been working on that is going to literally provide you with a strategy for realizing your most important goals. Law number 8, the law of pain. We could do a whole course on this. And this is one that is just utterly foundational to growth, because I think you probably know as well as I that some of the best growth in life can come out of the most painful and difficult challenges we experience in life. And in this, we kind of look at how we leverage those experiences for greater growth. The law of the ladder, my friend Demir Brezik's favorite law, where we talk about the character of a leader and really making sure that we strengthen our character. It is the foundation of personal growth. The law of the rubber band. This is so much fun to talk about this law, because in this law, we get to really think about how far we can go, how far we can grow, what that vision of our lives looks like, and how we can stretch ourselves to aspire toward that best version of ourselves. and to constantly be putting ourselves, even though it's uncomfortable, in those environments where we're stretching ourselves. My son is going to be shipping off to the Navy here on March 29th, and he's qualified to try to become a Navy SEAL. And over the past few months, he's been putting himself through workouts that have been ridiculous to prepare for that. In fact, I was telling my buddy Troy that he's in the process right now with a friend of his from Franklin of doing a 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours run process. He's now at he should be about mile 38 right now. So they're out running as I speak. It's fun to see him stretch and grow himself and push himself beyond mental and physical limitations that existed before, but that now don't for him. The same is true for each and every one of us. The law of trade-offs, identifying the sacrifices that we're going to need to make in order to realize the life that we dream about, that we envision for ourselves. You have to give up to grow up. The law of curiosity. Man, this is such a great one because growing people are curious people. Growing people are constantly asking questions of themselves, of others, constantly putting them in environments where they can learn. And what a great environment in a mastermind to really expand that curiosity muscle in our lives. The law of modeling. This is really important because as you think about personal growth, what's the point of growth? Do we grow in a vacuum? The point of growth ultimately is about investing in other people's lives. As we grow as people, we have resources and things that we can give to other people to help them along the journey in life as well. My buddy Troy's on the call, and Troy is vice president in the loss prevention division at AutoZone. And one of the things I've loved watching Troy do is see all the leaders he's mentored in the division that he leads. And if you ask him, he'll tell you the greatest joy he gets in his life is out of developing and mentoring his people and seeing them succeed. The law of contribution. And this kind of goes really to really what my why is in life. Growing yourself enables you to grow others. When it comes right down to it, and we're going to talk about this here in just a couple minutes, we're on this earth not for ourselves, but to make a difference in the lives of others. In fact, we're most fulfilled, even psychologists will tell you this, that our greatest fulfillment in life comes when we live life beyond ourselves. And as we walk through these 8 weeks in this mastermind, you're going to have an opportunity to really think into that principle for your own life. Who do you need to be investing in? Who do you want to leave a legacy for? How are you going to use your growth personally to really invest in, make a difference in, and contribute to the success of other people? So that's just a really brief overview of these laws that we're going to be doing a deep dive into throughout the course. Paul?
Absolutely. Bill, that was a fantastic description of the whole book. I think you could create the Bill Cox Cliff Notes for the John Maxwell team. That'd be awesome. What we do know is that growth often starts with good intentions, but growth will continue with accountability. This is why so many New Year's resolutions failed. This is why I didn't get any thumbs up when I asked that earlier. Did you know, fun fact, that 80% of every New Year's resolution will fail? Now that sounds kind of depressing, doesn't it? But they fail because there aren't systems in place to keep you growing. And what a mastermind does is it solves this problem by adding a group of like-minded people around you who are also hungry to grow and see others grow to their full potential. So, what is this mastermind kind of thing we're talking about? Well, let me give you the who, what, where, whens, and Bill's going to talk about a why in a second. But who, the mastermind is for people just like you, just like me, who are looking to grow and become all they can be. They could be for people in any stage of the leadership game, can be for stay at home moms, stay at home dads. It's for anyone who's looking to grow and become all that they can be. What? It's a group of people meeting together every week to share their collective wisdom and grow around a certain teaching. It's also the accountability of the group that keeps us growing. Where? Well, I'm in Houston, Bill is in Guys Mills, and we're all going to meet together on Zoom. So no matter where you're at, whether you're working from the office, whether you're working from home, wherever you are found, you can be on Zoom with us. And we're going to meet 90 minutes a week for 8 weeks. Our initial thought is to do an early morning session and also an afternoon session. And you can pick the one that seems most convenient for your situation, whether it's a 6:30 in the morning or a noon to 1:30. And we want to start this in 2 weeks. And we've asked who, what, where, when, and why is this important? And I want to turn it back over to Bill because I want him to share his heart on legacy.
Well, I touched on this just a little bit ago, but a couple days ago, was it yesterday, Paul, you celebrated your 40th birthday?
2 days ago. Yes,
2 days
sir.
ago. Paul turned the big 40, and he was having a bit of an existential crisis as we were talking on the phone. As I was listening to him struggle with 40, there just wasn't a whole lot of compassion coming from my end. I just turned 54, in December. And I know if I'm thinking that many of you can probably relate to me that whatever your age is, you kind of think to yourself, when I hit 54 this past year, it's like, man, I'm like 1 year away from the senior discount. How nuts is that? That's crazy. But my experience with life, I always tell people this is kind of like when I go visit Troy out in the state of Indiana, and as you're driving out through I 80 or I 90, I kind of lose track which one of the two it is. As you're heading out west, it's a beautiful sunny day. And when you get out to Ohio and Indiana, it's just flat for like as long as you can see. And life is kind of like that. I'm just kind of looking down this highway as long as I can look. And the older I get, it's sort of like pushing down on the accelerator. And the older I get, the more I push down on the accelerator. And as I look out through my periphery, I see telephone poles going by out of the corner of my eye. Life is kind of like that. And those telephone poles are the years of your life checking off. That's my experience of time. And I know that you know as well as I know that we only get one of these things called life. We don't get a second shot. We get one. And we don't get do-overs. And I know this, that we're going to leave this earth someday. I checked the mortality rate. It's still right up around 100%. When? Who knows? But someday we all will. And the question is, when you leave, what kind of legacy will you have left for those who follow behind you? It's not a matter of if you're going to leave a legacy. The question is, what kind of a legacy will you leave? What is the imprint you're going to leave on the lives of those you have been privileged to know, love, connect with, touch, whether it's your family, whether it's people in business, people on your team, friends of yours, people that you meet at the checkout counter at Walmart? What kind of an imprint do you want to leave on their life? Because that's what life is about. And here's what I know: the people who leave the greatest legacies, the people who live the kind of life that allow others to kind of build on their shoulders and experience greater success in life, both personally and professionally, are the people who are growing. They're constantly examining their lives and trying to discern, where do I need to grow? What is standing in the way of my success, of my relationships, of the ability to do my job more effectively? You know, what's preventing me from serving my teammates more effectively? Those are the kind of people who make the biggest impact on those around them. And I also know that when you're living that kind of life, that's when you're most fully alive. You're most fully engaged with life. You're most passionate about life. You're most connected in your relationships. You're just most alive. And friends, we're created for life, to live in all of its fullness, the highs and the lows and everything in between. And when we're growing, we can experience the fullness of that growth and make a difference in other people's lives. So I want to talk to you about, here's where the brass tacks comes to everybody. I would love to have you join us for 8 weeks of focused growth around the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, that book that I went through, in a completely virtual over the Zoom platform, which I have found, frankly, can be a really awesome platform for interaction and engagement. And the cost for the 8 weeks is $297. And by joining, you're going to get a weekly guided teaching, a 90-minute teaching focused around the 15 invaluable laws, along with that 8-week experience and the 90-week mastermind that we're going to facilitate. You're going to get your growth playbook that I told you about. I'm going to tell you, this is a resource that I'm really fired up about, as a tremendous coaching resource that we're going to do on a parallel track as we go through this book. It's going to be your practical application of the material and the principles you're going to learn in the 15 laws. And on the front end, you're going to get this opportunity to go through this process and get super clear on the top 3 most important goals of this year for you. And then each week, we're going to teach you how you can not only get clear on what those goals are, but then have a strategy for how to accomplish them throughout the coming year, so that by the end of 2021, you'll look back and say, wow, I had these 3 goals, and here I stand in December 2021, and I can check all of these off the box. I am not the same person I was in February. That's what we want for you. And the weekly accountability, that is the magic and the power. And not a slap the back of your hand with the ruler kind of accountability that my first grade teacher, Mrs. Kassler, did, but a positive, encouraging, supportive kind of accountability that just inspires us to aspire to be that best version of ourselves. And here's a little bonus we're going to throw into this if you sign up in the next 24 hours. Now, some of you are going to say, Bill, that's a gimmick. But let me say, no, it's not. I want to push back on that. I honor people who take decisive action on their growth. Listen, if I told you all the times I've had to swallow hard about growth programs that I've invested in multiple thousands of dollars over the past few years, and I came to that moment of decisive action where I was like, oh man, I don't know if I want to part with this. I knew that I was going to succeed if I just didn't think too much about it. I followed my intuition and I just went for it. Action. People who grow are people who take action on their lives, who value themselves enough to step into it, to make the investment in themselves. And I'm not trying to sell you, I'm just trying to tell you the truth. This is the truth. People who take decisive action in their lives are the people who always end up experiencing the most growth. That is an axiomatic law. So if you, in the next 24 hours, decide to sign up, we want to honor that by giving you a complimentary ticket, which is a $79 value to next year's Live to Lead Leadership Conference, and $50 off of your registration cost, which would bring that down to $247. I think you're going to get 10x the value out of that, honestly. If you make this course everything it can be and apply yourself to it, I think you're going to find that is well worth the investment over the next several weeks. So just to recap, for $249, you're going to get $50 off your registration into the mastermind group, which is an 8 weeks mastermind focused around the 15 laws, and a growth playbook to crush your goals in 2021 that I am super fired up about, and one complimentary ticket to Live to Lead on February 12th, which is coming right up. Why does this matter? Well, I think as we look at our nation, we're in a leadership crisis in our nation. And the people who are going to change this nation are not necessarily people in government or anywhere else, but it's the salt and the light people of this world like you and me who stand up to be the kind of people we need to be wherever we've been placed and planted in this world. We need people to exercise leadership at all levels of our nation. Your legacy matters, and who you'll influence is really important. There are people who are depending on you growing, people who are depending on you getting better. And if you grow and get better, you're going to have a powerful influence, positive influence on the lives of those around you. I love that. The most magnetic people in life that I love to be around, they're always growing people. You could be that for other people. And finally, you're worth the investment. You really are. When you start growing, you'll experience an energy and a level of inspiration um, intrinsically that can become a powerful force and literally create momentum to propel you forward toward the life that you desire, toward the life that you aspire toward. And that's what we want for you, and we're super excited to create the kind of environment where that can happen. We just got a few minutes here, so kind of want to turn it over to anybody on the call for any questions that you have. I see Chad's asking the 15 Invaluable laws. That would be something, Chad, that you would be purchasing separately. Thank you for asking that question, just because it would be a whole lot more challenging for us to get you the book than just to simply order it for yourself. So great question.
Absolutely. And I'll piggyback on that too. You know, everybody reads in different ways. And if you look on Amazon, there's Audible copies. There's a Kindle version. I even picked up a version at a thrift bookstore for $3.99. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ways to secure one. So we wanted, you know, it to be whatever is the way that you would most value reading it, you can get your copy of it. Great question.
And
Any
feel
other
free,
questions?
if you'd rather unmute and just talk, just go ahead and unmute your channel. And I would just love to have some feedback. You know, I'm a big feedback junkie. So any thoughts, questions you're having at this point?
Yeah, Bill, this is Demir.
Hey, Demir.
First of all, to both you and Paul, this was awesome. For the rest of you guys, I've known Bill since what, 2014, 2015 era, something like that. I've taken a number of these courses with Bill. Bill did not ask me to say anything, but I do want to brag on Bill. I've taken 2 of these sessions with him. I've taken this particular class before. It was totally impactful. It personally changed where I was at, you know, not only in my career at that time, but it really started taking me and started making me look for the different levels of what that next level was. And when he talks about fulfillment, I mean, that is the #1 core to this. And again, I'm not part of this program. I'm just a friend of Bill's, but definitely wanted to let you guys know that, you know, not only with what I'm doing from a career perspective, but also from a business standpoint, these are some really, really strong and powerful aspects. You know, and the price that Bill is asking for, I just talked to, you know, somebody else that talked about their mastermind program, and their mastermind program was very, very similar, and it was going for a couple $1,000s. So from a value add perspective, and again, Bill did not ask me to speak on this. I'm speaking on this as somebody who has been a student, but is also, you know, full transparency, is a friend of his, and has gone through this. There is a lot here for all of us to get into. And, you know, Bill, I will commit to, you know, being part of this. So you can count on me, my friend.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate those kind words, my friend. Thank you. Anybody else? Thoughts or questions? All right, well, I'm just going to let Paul kind of wrap up some of the details here. Paulie?
Absolutely. So if you are interested and you want to ask questions, feel free to reach out to Bill, Bill at billcoxcoaching.com, or me, Paul at billcoxcoaching.com. We'd love to help bring any kind of clarity that we can. If you're interested, if this sounds like something you really want to jump on, I put the link in the chat box. You can sign up today. And if you sign up before tomorrow night at midnight, then you'll get the $50 off. You'll get the ticket to Live to Lead, as well as anytime that you sign up, actually, you'll get a link directly to, getting signed on with the platform, but you'll also get to download that growth playbook, and you'll get the first week's assignment, because it's a big one. And we're going to start this thing off with a bang, and it's going to be in 2 Tuesdays. So we're just thankful that so many people have shown an interest, and so many people have participated today. And we look forward to connecting with you. And more importantly, we look forward to growing with you over the next 8 weeks if you're in. So that's all I got, Billy.
All right. Thank you, my friend. Again, I want to just thank everybody for taking time out of your busy Tuesdays to be on the call. Just so good to see and talk to you. So many of you again. Honored that you would join us. Just want to say thank you for those of you who have invested in some of the offerings we've made in the past. And we'd be more than honored to have you dive in to this journey with us. I'm confident it'd be a great experience for you. And feel free, if you have any additional questions, like Paulie said, just shoot an email. If you have my phone number, you can shoot me a text, whatever works. We want to be able to answer any questions you have and be a part of making 2021 one of the best years in recent memory. Okay. Thanks, folks. I got 12:55. We're going to get you out of here before 1 o'clock. And God bless you all. Again, once again, thank you for hanging out with us today. And we hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks again for watching today's video. And before you go to the bottom of the screen, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure you go to billcoxcoaching.com, sign up for our regular newsletter to help you move from success to significance and lead your life in such a way that you live a legacy. Have a great day.